We are back with another video. Before we get into the video, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Now, it looks like Cardi B's remix is currently flopping on the charts. It did debut on iTunes at number 24 and number 25 and number 26 with 3 different versions. And now she has released another version of her album, Am I Delusional? This version is called the Ultimate Edition, featuring older tracks such as Please Me Press, Money, Bongos, Like What, Enough, / the Dr. Miami record. I feel like, didn't she already add those songs? I mean, how many times can you add old songs to an album? I feel like she's getting away with some illegal activity. I'm like, she already added those songs, so you put out another version adding the same songs, okay, that came out 10 years ago. I don't understand that. I think that Billboard needs to do another investigation on Cardi B, and this is why she didn't sell over 200,000. She sold 199.6. Let's be very clear. This is the reason why, because she's trying to finish the charts, and I hope Billboard filters this out. You cannot put old songs on an album and then do it again. Okay, you already did that the first time. Okay, the first week your album came out, you was trying to put old songs on the album to surpass Nicki Minaj, and it didn't work. Hanging up flat screen. You look desperate. Okay, 50,000 lashings to Cardi B. Now she's doing this so her album can maintain in the top 10 on the 200 Billboard chart. That's why she's really doing it. Okay, because it has been reported that her album, Am I Ugly, is challenging to break the record for the most weeks in the top 10 for a female rap album on Billboard 200 this decade. Okay, so that is the reason why she's putting out multiple versions of one remix and multiple versions of one album. Okay, I think she thinks she's the chart obsessed racist. Here's my thing with Cardi B: the album is not that great if you have to put out multiple versions like this. Okay, other artists don't have to do this and still sell. But I know you're not on that level. You're not on like a Champagne Thickums, Kendrick Lamar level. You're not on a Nicki Minaj level when it comes to skill. When we're talking about skill and making hit records, you're not on that level. In my opinion, I don't believe that there is a hit record on this album. Is that just me? I don't feel like there's one hit record on this album, and there's really no shade. Now, it has been reported that Nicki Minaj's longtime lawyer abruptly drops her as a rapper is facing a $10 million demand for another lawsuit. Now, Judd Bernstein speaks out following reports that he is no longer representing Nicki Minaj as her lawyer. He stated, after I won a dismissal of Tamir Peake's defamation lawsuit against Nicki Minaj in New Jersey, I declined the opportunity to represent her when Peake refiled it in New York. My decision was unrelated to any concern about the merits of Peake's claims. I have no doubt that his complaint is entirely dubious and that Nicki did nothing wrong. I continue to have a great affection and respect for Nicki Minaj, okay? So, I guess Tamir is filing another claim against Nicki, and he does not want to be her lawyer for the new lawsuit that has been filed. So let me know how y'all feel about it. I don't think Nicki will have any trouble getting a new lawyer, but I do find it interesting that, he would basically not want to be on this case, especially after the first one got dismissed. Him doing it in New York is not going to be a big difference from him filing in New Jersey. It's probably going to get dismissed again. So I think that is the interesting part, which means something had to go down. I don't care what nobody says. Something had to transpire, because why would you miss out on easy money? Okay, if the first lawsuit got dismissed, then the second one is going to get dismissed too. I don't think there's going to be much of a difference. Now, as we probably already knew, it has been officially reported that Tory's appeal has been denied. The courts have made a decision, and they said, we affirm Daystar Peterson's conviction. The California Court of Appeal has affirmed Tory Lanez felony convictions and 10-year prison sentence for shooting Megan Thee Stallion, which means that he won't get out of jail anytime soon, and they won't give him less time. Now, is this shocking to me? No, because I told y'all it wasn't going to work. How do you think Tory was going to go up against Devil Nation when they're in cahoots with the law? Come on now. You know they in cahoots with the law. The CEO is a federal informant over at Devil Nation, okay? Works with the feds. So I'm just kind of confused how people really thought he was going to get out. I knew that he wasn't. And I just feel like at this moment in time, all Tory can do is, continue to, put out music from jail and, try his best, to stay out of trouble. And, I do feel bad that, he won't get out of jail a little bit because, I don't believe that Tory is completely guilty. Okay. The only thing I think he's guilty of is really associating with Megan, but I believe Kelsey was the shooter. But the point of the matter is he should have snitched. I know in hip hop, it is not a good thing to basically throw somebody else under the bus for a crime they may have committed, but that's what he should have done. He should have went on the stand and said Kelsey did it. And that probably would have made a big difference. But people want to live by street code. Okay, but look at the snitches. They're out and you're in jail. Look at 6ix9ine. Look at Gunna. They snitched. They're out living their lives. Okay, the street hood niggas that want to live by code, they're in jail. So he should have taken the stand and snitched on Kelsey. I think it's too late now because, you already been convicted and Devil Nation is not going to let you out of jail anytime soon. So it is what it is, but let me know how y'all feel about it. Now, fans are calling out JT for copying Zara Larsson in her nylon cover. They're saying that she was heavily inspired by Zara Larsson. Let me know how y'all feel about it. I don't feel like she was copying Zara Larsson. I feel like she was paying homage to Grace Jones. Grace Jones did a very similar cover back in 1987, which is probably where Zara Larsson got it from. And like I said before, when you're doing a cover for a big magazine company like Vogue, GQ, Nylon, you don't get to decide the creative direction. There's already a director that does that. Let's be very clear. You just show up to the shoot. That's what the celebrity job is to do. Show up to the shoot and also do an interview. In my opinion, I think JT is an easy target for a lot of people because she doesn't have any allies. She hasn't had that mainstream success yet. And I think, because she's dark-skinned, she's easy to pick on. In my opinion, I feel like that's why people pick on her amongst the other female rappers that may not really get dragged as much, like Scratch Off and Ice Spice, because she doesn't really have any allies. So people want to kind of bully her. I feel like people want her to stop making music low-key because she went after Cardi B. So I just feel like people are going to nitpick anything she does, but she didn't get to choose the creative direction for this cover. Okay, like many artists don't. They have a team that does that. And then on top of that, Zara Larsson copied Grace Jones. She copies pretty much everybody. Beyonce, I see she copies Beyonce. She copies Grace Jones. I feel like she's inspired by a lot of black artists. And that's nothing wrong with that, but let's not act like these black women in the industry need to copy a white woman. Let's be very clear. That will never be happening ever in life, especially in the entertainment business. Now, moving on from that, Megan takes another legal win in court. Trial is soon for her versus Milagro Grams, and there has been a court update. Megan Thee Stallion's legal team filed a memorandum of law regarding Milagro Cooper's non-media status, arguing that Milagro Cooper is not a media defendant and should not receive the protections or the procedural benefits associated with journalism. According to the filing, Judge Cecilia already ruled that Milagro Cooper does not qualify as a media defendant, rejecting her earlier claim that she was entitled to pre-suit notice as a jurisdictional requirement. Memorandum emphasizes that nothing has changed since that decision. Cooper has still provided no evidence that she's a journalist. Megan Thee Stallion's legal team cites Cooper's own live stream statements. I did not tell anybody I was a reporter. I ain't never told you I went to school for journalism. You don't need to be a journalist to see something and give an opinion about it. The memorandum also quotes Milagro Cooper's deposition testimony, admitting that she doesn't know the ethics of journalism and lacks a background in it. The filing argues that Cooper's online activities, spreading misinformation, offering biased commentary, and allegedly being commissioned by the Petersons to publish statements, confirms that she does not function as an impartial media. Citing precedent, the filing notes that status issues determining the choice of jury instructions, like media versus non-media status, are legal questions for the court, not the jury. Therefore, Megan's legal team asked judge to formally and conclusively hold that Milagro Cooper is a non-media defendant ahead of trial. Basically, Megan Thee Stallion is playing chess. What she's trying to do is make sure that Milagro doesn't receive any basically benefits of any type of journalist, media person in court. Okay, because I guess there's certain laws that protect the media if you are a journalist that went to school, or if you are a media personality that pushes or wants people to perceive you as a journalist. Okay, because there's a lot of media personalities that are really big that may not have went to school for journalism. So it's two different type of personalities and media platforms out there. And in my opinion, I feel like, yeah, it's going to work in court. But I feel like with Megan Thee Stallion, I feel like if you say anything negative about Megan, of course, she's going to say that you're not really a real media company or you're not a real journalist. That's what they all say when you don't side with them. OK, if you side with them, then you're a journalist. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you can say that about any company. Not everybody at TMZ that works at TMZ. I'm not talking about Harvey, but not everybody that works at TMZ is a journalist. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of big media companies that they don't always hire people that are quote unquote journalists. So I feel like she's going to say that about anybody that she feels like is not on her side. So that is also being biased too. Now, moving on from that, North West is causing some controversy because she got this new piercing on one of her fingers. Okay. And previously, you know, she was facing some controversy because Kim allowed her to wear a corset. Now, North West is only 12 years old. Okay. So a lot of people feel like this is not age appropriate for a 12-year-old. Here's my thing. Kim comes off as a parent that wants to be cool. Okay. She wants to be cool with North West because North, from Kimberly's own mouth, has basically lifted up Kanye West, and I wouldn't say publicly diss North. I don't think that North has publicly dissed Kim, but Kim K has said that Northwest has said to Kim that she hates her, that, you know, she can't cook, or certain negative things about Kim, versus she will uplift and praise Kanye West, who is her father. So I think even if Kim doesn't agree with certain things, she allows North to do things she may not really want her to do, only because she wants to come off as a cool parent. She doesn't want North to completely disregard that relationship that she has with her mother and, you know, want to be with Kanye West full time, because I do believe Kim is the primary parent. But as, you know, North gets older, she might say, I want to live with Kanye West. I want to live with dad. I think Kim is trying to avoid that. And that's why she allows Northwest to do certain things. Because this piercing makes logically no sense. That a 12-year-old would need a piercing on their finger. It just doesn't look appealing. It looks really weird and gross. But again, I think Kim probably didn't agree with it, but she probably allowed it because she wants to be the cool parent. She doesn't want Northwest to, you know, basically disregard that relationship. Now, moving on from that, Musty Walker has basically previewed the track list, okay, for her album coming out this Friday. Let me know if you guys will be listening. She got Scars, Robbed You by her and Mariah the Scientist, No. Now, Girl featuring Scratch Off and allegedly Doja Cat. Baby featuring Fist Breezy. 1-800-Heartbreak featuring Anderson .Paak. Heart of a Woman Situationship. Give Me a Reason featuring Bryson Tiller. And then she got on disc 2, FMT Houseway featuring Sailor. Baller featuring Gorilla Glue, Sexy Red, and Mona Leo. That might be a skippity skip. No shade. Don't Make Me Do It, Tempted. Get Your Boy featuring 21 Below Average. That one I will definitely be skipping. Number 1 featuring Brent Vias, Stitch Me Up. Allegedly featuring Teddy Swims. And finally, Over It is the last song on the album. So let me know. I feel like there might be some hits on this album. There's a few skippity skips. I think any song, any R&B song with 21 Below Average would be a chop for me. Don't even need to listen to that. Definitely might skip the Gorilla and Sexy Red and Mona Leo song, because I just don't like when rappers are on R&B records. So that might be a skippity skip, but it could be a bop. You know, we'll decide. But let me know how y'all feel about it. I got some very hot tea on Patreon on what really happened behind the scenes at the Kardashian birthday bash that happened this weekend. I got tea on Nicki, Sydney Sweeney, Zendaya on Patreon. Link would be in the description. Have a great day.